have a feeling I walked over there and I brought it with me. Yeah, no, not in my pocket, but that's a really good call because it's kind of like, where's the pen? And it's like in your hair. Yeah, no worries. It's just in that little basket. Okay. So we are starting with foot rolling. Let's take some breaths as a group as we arrive here. We do have quite a lot of room over here. So if you guys feel a little bit congested, feel free to move around. But yeah, I know. And I feel like we're having a little bit of a harder time seeing each other. So I'm just gonna move just so, yeah, just so that, and if you do want to transition over, we can assist you in that. Okay, so let's take a few deep breaths as a group. Inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Beautiful. We're going to inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. And do that another 1 or 2 more times, maybe pursing the lips and blowing the breath out. Seamus, oh, you did crack it. I was like, can you crack that window? Got me. Thank you. And so as you feel, maybe that pursed breath is wanting to come in 1 more time. And then just checking in with your body. Each time you take a conscious exhale, there's an energetic quality of a downward flow into the body, into the legs, into the feet, into the earth. So recognizing as we're rising up to a full moon, right, in the next couple, I think it's like 5 days away. And so, what's up, Mom? On the 12th, yeah. So coming up really soon. And when the moon is growing in its fullness, it's creating a little bit more of what we call an energetic movement of, we have aspects of nature and they're called the gunas and they're within us and around us. And when the moon kind of gathers, it affects our water and it creates a little bit more energy, a little bit more movement. So this is called Raja. And sometimes we feel a little bit more disconnected from our body, feel a little bit more anxious, we feel a little bit more emotional. So I just want to do a class today where we're feeling body, but also connecting to our feet. So we are going to be doing some footwork. So I want you to check in as you feel both feet and ask your body which one wants to be the standing foot to create some stability and which foot wants to softly start to lift. And so as one heel starts to lift, the other foot is going to come down to the floor. Just taking a moment to feel that foot. Notice all the toes. Notice that your inner arch is lifted, but the heel is rooting down. And that lengthening up through the body. And as you keep pushing away, you can feel the exhale, the lower belly lifting. Some of us like to think of the pubic bone drawing up. And then the rib cage, the transverse abdominis, wrapping around. So that SH breath, if you want. So there's a down, but there's also an up. And the leg will just start to float up without kind of doing any shifting into the hip. So there's just the down and the up. And just notice, how grounded do you feel today? And then when you're ready, that foot that was up in the air is going to come down and we're going to roll through that foot. Yeah, dowel is really good. You can also use the pink ball. I've got the pink ball and the squash ball near. Some of you like to use the spiky ball. So anything of the foot works here. There you go. Good, Laura. And we're going through and just exploring for you what is needed right now. So maybe it's through the inner arch. You might roll in and feel that big toe line. So this is one of the lines of the body we're going to look at today. So noticing your big toe and the connection through the tendon that goes up into your calf. So this tendon of the big toe is a singular tendon that goes through the inner arch and up into the calf, flows up into the inner thigh, the gracilis, the adductor muscles, and then into the pelvic floor. We were having a discussion last week around the big toe. And so this tendon is called the flexor, which means, right? So flexing. So this is when we flex the toes. So flexor hallucis longus. I know, right? Yeah, I know. So, yeah, doesn't it? So there's a comment here in the studio. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell. I really like that. But just take note. What is happening with your big toe? So if we have any kind of bunion around the knuckle, or we get any kind of cramping in the inner arch, this line of the big toe is not functioning properly. So we're going to do some exercises today that are going to help work it out. But we need to release it first, because if we don't release it, then we're going to get cramps, and you might even get cramps as we do it. Okay? So depending on what's happening. So we're going to do a little bit of work. So you're going to roll out that first foot, and then you want to check in. Do you want to keep using the device that you're using? Because each ball offers a little bit of a different awareness. So you can also move to a pink ball or a spiky ball and take a moment. Maybe you roll the ball under the transverse arch, which is from the pinky toe to the big toe. You might go across. You might wrap the toes around the ball to open the top of the foot. You can, I was doing the same foot, so I haven't changed, but you can also do the other foot. So you don't need to stay on one foot. So either one. You can also move into the squash ball. And the squash ball is the softest out of all of them. And you can really allow it to pinpoint. And so you can go under specific knuckles. And so what we're going to work today is trying to move the big toe independently of all the other toes, which sounds a lot easier than it is. Yeah, so you can do that, right? So you've got really good control because of all of your ballet over your feet. So I noticed that I get cramps in my left foot, which I have a sclerotic curve on my left side. And so I realized that this side doesn't function very well for me. And I'm able to do the movement with my toe on one foot, but I can't move this one independently of my toes on my other foot. So I know there's a little bit of a dysfunction happening. When we go into it, well, I'll get you to take them out. Yeah, because it will be really hard. Yeah, it'll be really hard to use it. But that is something we're going to go into today. And so you're just going to, not right now, but just focus on foot rolling. And then one of the things I want to do is we haven't done this in a little bit. So I'm going to get you to grab a cloth. Yeah, pick up the cloth. Yeah.
You want us to clean the studio.
I want you to clean the studio for me. It is, because we do a really good job of it. Okay, and so you're just going to roll one foot, and then you're going to roll your other foot, and then you're going to pause, okay? And if you have at home a little cloth, you can do a sock, you can do a towel, you can do whatever you need. And we'll do that in a moment, but we're just going to foot roll both feet first. And with the squash ball, if you have it, because it's quite soft, you can go down and follow this big toe line. So at least with one of the balls or the whatever you have, do follow the ball down the big toe line. So I'll show as well on camera. So transverse arch. Okay, and big toe line. And so we're going to start massaging in through there. So making sure that you do a little bit of rolling. Exactly. And so Cynthia, you have it when you roll the foot in on the dowel, you can feel that whole line, right? And so all the different tools that we have in rolling, it might be the dowel, it might be the squash ball, it might be the spiky ball. And each one does a little bit of a different flavor for the fascia. Okay, so once you've completed one side, do the other side as well. And we're going to slowly follow that line up the body because we had a little question as well, Peggy. You were talking about inner thigh cramping. And for you, is it like directly in the middle of the thigh? Because I was thinking about it. So it's kind of like in the belly of the thigh. Okay. So before you're switching sides, if you didn't in between, do take notice how one side feels as opposed to the other. It's really fascinating to see how one foot feels so different than the other foot. And I want you to also feel what your ankles are doing, because I think this has a lot to do with also what our big toes are doing. And sometimes we have a tendency, if our inner arches are weak, for our foot to what we would call pronate in. So you can see how my ankle, right, is rolling in. And that also affects the alignment of the knee and also how you feed into the hip. So what you're doing in your foot has a direct translation of how you're connecting not only in the hip and then the stability you're providing for the shoulders to rest upon. So if the lower body is not connecting properly, the upper body doesn't have the stability it needs to support on top of, then you start to create a lot of tension in the upper body because the upper body is trying to create the stability that the lower body should be providing for you. And so the other one, so there's the pronation rolling in, and then the supinate. So sometimes we do a little bit of supinate. So I want you to notice as you're standing, you might even do one foot at a time. What is your ankle doing? Okay, so do you tend to, I know on my foot that I have a little bit of dysfunction and I'm not able to move the big toe. My foot tends to supinate a little bit, which means rolling out. I have really strong arches and sometimes I think they're too strong. So sensing, when I talk about the inner heel and the outer heel, it's really feeling that when you press down, you should have equal pressing in the inner heel and the outer heel. And so checking in, is that there? And is it there on both feet? Yeah. Okay. And then once you've done both feet, I want you to take of rolling, I want you to take your cloth. And sometimes if it's not perfect on the floor is better because it gives you something to grip onto. Then you're going to start to try to grab the cloth with the toes. So you can try to pick it up. So this is working, yeah, all of the toe muscles. And so you should be able to pick the cloth up. Yeah, so it's a really good, there you go, Jane. Yes, there it is. Yes. So it's a really good exercise. You know, it's harder on your mat. And then you can like, you know, when I'm at the house, you know, I'll like instead of getting down on my hands and knees. I always use my feet to clean the floor. Right? But try both feet. Which one do your flexor muscles work well? And so this is going to strengthen your feet. Yeah, and notice how your right hand, Cynthia, is trying to help you. You're like, if I just bring it into extension this much, then my foot will be able to pick up the cloth. I know. Come on. I know, right? And so it's quite fascinating to notice, hey, what is happening? What do we need? And mom, your toe spacers, if you take them off, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Yeah, toe spacers kind of inhibit you from being able to feel this. 100%. Yeah. Sometimes when the foot and the fascia is really tight and you try to go and do this exercise, it's a lot more difficult. And sometimes if you're prone to cramping, you might get cramping. And so, trying this, and then if you feel, oh, it's created a little bit of tension, then you can go back and roll again if you're at home or you're doing it outside. Yeah, and your right hand's doing the same thing for you. Yeah, you've got it though. Yeah. Okay. But, interesting to play with it. Yeah. And this is going to be really good work for you. Especially your left. Yeah. 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 Is having a harder time. Right. And when you injured it, yeah. Peggy's going to be like flipping them up and around and doing a pirouette. Right. I know this is all going to be, Peggy's going to be the one I should like step aside and be like, come, Peggy. I know. Good, Jane. That's the foot right there. That's the one, right? Yeah. So a lot of us have one side that works well and one side that maybe doesn't work as well. Yeah. And also where you feel a lot of pain though. Right. So something isn't communicating properly, even though it's a dominant side, doesn't mean that it functions well. Right. It might be. Yeah, it could be. Or you've been maybe living life in a certain way in a pattern that hasn't been a functional pattern of movement. Yeah, you can 100%. Yes, you can get out of it. The great thing about it is you can retrain yourself, right? And so this is kind of what we're doing today is noticing and then retraining, right? Yeah. Okay. I know. So put it off to the side when you're ready. And no, it's a tool. You've got lots of face cloths at home. Okay, so let's do a balancing pose now. So let's start with tree. Okay, so just exhale. Let the knees soften a little bit. Okay, now pick up your toes and see if you can spread them. Spread them apart and then start to plant them down to the floor. And just notice, do all of your toes go down together? Sometimes I like to try to fan, so I'll do pinky and then ring finger toe, middle, index toe, big toe. Sometimes I feel they don't. Okay, now choose which side. You're deciding which side you want to start your balance on. Okay, so the other leg softens. You're pressing down. I want you to feel each pad of the toe root into the floor. Feel inner heel, outer heel. Notice your inner arch and look at what your ankle or feel what your ankle is doing. And then lifting up and seeing if that foot wants to come up. Sometimes it just wants to stay on the floor and the heel onto the inner ankle. If you bring the foot up, you're gently pressing the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. Okay, so you can go below the knee, above the knee. I'm just going to stay below today. Keep the standing leg a little bit bent. I'm just going to anchor your energy down for you, Megan. There you go. Yeah. Take an exhale and think down. Because when we go into balancing, you sometimes want to think up right away. And then check in. Do your arms. Now do that breath one more time for yourself. There it is. Check in. Arms can be here. They can be here. They can be here. And it's really good work for your foot to catch you when you're about to fall off balance and then recover. So you can come out when you're ready. Shake it out. Walking on uneven surfaces. So backyard, when you're at the beach, taking off your shoes, walking on things that are not perfectly flat are going to ask your feet to become a little bit more intelligent. Take a moment, exhale. So there's a balance of pressing down and lifting up. And as you do that, the other point that's really helpful is finding somewhere to focus. So first is 3 to 4 to 5 feet in front of you. Next is lifting your gaze to look straight ahead. Next, you will be evolution to be able to look around. Okay, so but don't do that until you feel completely solid. There it is. And it's really fascinating to think, oh, this is my better side. It's easier for me. Right? So some of us are feeling that. Good, Laura. Nice. Shake it out. So whenever we have one side that works a little bit better than the other side, we can feel, okay, I can learn from this side and I can sense what's happening. So we haven't done any lateral stretching. We haven't done a forward fold yet as well. So let's do a little forward fold. So you can choose to come down halfway if you're feeling a little bit dizzy. Okay, so you're going to feel the feet hip width apart. I'm just turning sideways so you can see what I'm talking about. As you exhale, you're going to allow the pelvis. So the pelvis is the mover. So the power of the pelvis moves the pelvis back. We feel a little bit more weight shift onto our heels, but we don't lose the connection of the toes. And I want you to find a flat back. So that means your head, heart, hips are all in one line. Once you find that, I want you to root the weight into your toes. Let your arms dangle. If you need a little bit more support, keep the knees bent, hands on the thighs. Okay, now do an SH breath as you feel the front of your rib cage gather together and pull in a little bit. Reach out the bottom of your pelvis. These are called your sit bones, your ischial tuberosities, to the wall behind you. And reach out through the top of your head forward. Create some space through your vertebra. Either one arm or both are just hanging in the air. I want you to open the palm of your hand, reach through the fingers, and then just soften them. Our tendency is to be in a flexion or extension in the hands a lot of the time. You can just be hanging, you can swing, you can circle. Just strengthening the back right now. So you can stay here and then slowly come up whenever you're ready. Remember, keeping the knees bent, activating the muscles in the legs will help you to not feel dizzy. Those of you that do want to go into an inversion, lowering the head below the heart, feel free. Good. You come out, come out. Do some swinging twists. Let the arms swing a little bit. If swinging the body doesn't work, then you can do some twists just very gently. Maybe less movement in the body. We're going to do a few shoulder rolls. So we're going to inhale when you're ready. Press the feet into the floor as you exhale. Then inhale, draw the shoulders up to the ears, roll them back. Exhale, let them go, bend the knees. So that might be out the mouth. Inhale and exhale. Good, we're going to go through a few more rounds, just following in your flow. Just releasing upper body. Oh. And then when you're ready, you're going to switch directions. So you're going to go forward. Inhale up, forward, let it go. Couple more. Ah. And then when you feel ready to transition, you might draw up, squeeze, let them soften, maybe just drop. Inhale, squeeze, let it drop. Maybe feel that the body wants to do that again. Other option here, I always give the 2 as you exhale. You can pause and slowly lower the shoulders as you do a pursed-lip breath, breathing out the mouth. After the shoulder rolls, you might find the head wants to move around a little bit to release the neck. So you can do it very slowly. If you're having vertigo, then you don't want to circle the head. But if you're not, you can think of the very top of the skull and just drawing very little circles on the ceiling. You can feel the ear to the shoulder or the chin. You can hold and pause. The other option is to interlace hands behind the skull, creating a little soft weave of the fingers, and the hands are on the back of the skull. And then you very gently press the hands and the head into each other. And then you just let the elbows come in a little bit. Just take a moment to feel this strengthening and release that's happening. Look straight ahead. You can, if you want, it's optional, to just keep, without dropping the chest, just lower the chin down slightly. Keep leaning the head up into the hands, hands into the head. Relax the shoulders. And then bring back up to center. Good, we're going to let that go. I want to do a couple standing poses just before we come down to the floor. So we're going to go into triangle. Just going to create a little bit of space here. So you're anywhere from 3 to 3.5 feet apart. So triangle is really good because we've been focusing a lot on releasing side body and the QL. It really helps to connect our feet to our pelvis. So we're going to start by turning the right foot out, toes pointing to the short end of your mat. And then your back foot, which is the left heel, your left outer edge of the foot can be parallel to the back of the mat, or you can angle the toes in a little bit, which is going to internally rotate the back thigh. Good. Now the legs are straight for this one. So you're pushing the floor away. Yeah, there you go. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Okay, yeah. So you're going to have your left hand on your hip, your right hand extend out. You're going to look at your right hand. Now we're going to start by exhaling. You're going to allow your hips to shift back to the left. Keep pushing the mat down, and you can also feel like you're spreading the mat apart. Then you're going to reach through the side of the body, reach forward first to create some length through the right side of the body, and then just let the arm release down. Okay, and this is very soft. You're not supporting yourself in any way with this right hand. You're pressing the feet into the floor. You're feeling the lower belly. You're opening up your torso. Yeah, so notice, am I looking behind me? Because you should be looking straight ahead from the torso. So not towards me, but straight ahead to yours. A lot of you would be looking out the wall, out the windows. Yeah, there it is. Good. Now see, maybe your left arm wants to stay there. Maybe it wants to reach up and your palm faces forward as well. Arm in line with the shoulder. Yeah, good. You can do this seated in the chair as well, Laura. Press down through the feet, come up. Good, release the legs. We're gonna walk them together, shake them out. And we're gonna try other side. So open up. Left foot turns out. Now I want to inquire, sometimes where we have the feet lined up makes a big difference. So sometimes if your front heel is lined up with the back heel, you might notice just walking in your foot a little bit so that the front foot, the heel lines up with your inner arch, and just see if that stance feels better or if it's heel to heel. Remember, your back thigh can roll in a little bit if it wants to. Okay, feel stable. Notice if it helps you to think of gently spreading the mat apart. Arms float up, right hand comes to your hip. Exhale, your hip moves back slightly. You reach as you lengthen. Inhale through the left arm. Find length. Try not to pop that rib on the left side. So gather it in. Maybe an SH breath as that left arm just comes down. Then the left shoulder opens, the heart, the right shoulder, and then some of you might bring your arm up. Good. So your hand, a lot of you have your palm facing away, so the back of your hand is facing your leg. You can lean your back of your hand and your leg into each other if you want. That might help you open the chest. There you go. That did help some of you. This is really nice for your QL. You're going to press down. You're going to come up. Walk the feet together. Good. Shake it out. Yeah. Now I want to do one more, which is going to be eagle pose. One more balancing. So you have a couple options here with the block and a wall if you want. Some of you, and I'll show you what it looks like just so you can make a decision. Some of you might be, so this is eagle, arms, legs. So we have done this before. Yeah, where we've moved to a wall and done a squat and then cross the legs over and been here. So you choose, do I want to feel the back of my pelvis leaning into the wall, or do I want to move into the center of the room? Both work. We're going to start by balancing on right foot. So your block is going to be by the right foot, but a little bit forward. So this is the middle height. This is the higher height. Just notice that the higher height's a little unstable. Okay, if you're using the wall, you're going to lean back, press your pelvis into the wall, and you're going to bend the knees. Good. If you're standing, you're just going to bend the knees a little bit. We're going to start with arms. Bring the arms up. We're going to cross, palms down, right arm over left. So you're just going to give yourself a hug first. Good. Feel your feet. Good. Now you can stay there, or you can reach the forearms up so that they start to come towards one another and lift the elbows up. So just going to pause here for shoulder release. Yeah, and some of you will be able to touch. Some of you will not. So with the arms in the way, you've got to try to find a focus point around them. So you want to bend a little bit more, lift the left heel up. Use, if you were using the wall, to lean back into as you lift the leg. There you go. Yes. And the foot comes down. I'm going to lower my block because I like it better on the middle height. Yeah, I know, right? Look at my finger as you do it. There it is. Now bend your knees and squeeze your inner thighs together. Yes, there it is. Do you want your block closer to you, Cynthia? Okay, you're trying. Okay. Yeah. You got it. Right, you've got it. Squeeze the inner thighs. So you got to bend your standing leg, which for most of us, that's our left, if you're following. And then you come out when you're ready. So release, press down, come out. So really strengthening in that one leg, right? You can feel it. And then check in. Let's try starting with the leg first. So just come down, go into the leg, and then that's right over left, and then left over right with the arm. Yeah? Okay, so right leg over left, left arm over right. Yeah, exactly. You're doing opposite. I'm doing opposites today. Sometimes I do same. Sometimes I do opposite. Good. Square your hips forward, Shayna. God, breathe. Yeah. That was really good recovery. I love it. And sometimes just having the arms is really nice. Hey, you release. Can you feel how that's really building the strength on that one side? Yeah. It's a really good one. Every time we do that one, you always like, I really like that. I really need that one. Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. It is a good balance because you've got your arms in the way and the legs, and they're doing, this time I did opposition. Sometimes I do the same, but and then you're doing opposition. So the brain's like going, what? Right? So it's a little bit of brain gym. I know, it's a little bit of brain gym. So just kind of sense, maybe you need a few hip circles, maybe you just need to shake out. We're going to move to the floor soon. Just check in. What do you need? Okay, so you're going to find a short end of your mat. We're going to transition. Now, if transitioning to the floor is not working for you, you're just going to sit down. Okay, so feet parallel, checking your mountain pose, which is the feet hip width apart. Settle, let the knees bend a little bit. Feel that the support of the upper body, torso, shoulders, neck, head, is resting on the integrity of the lower body, feet to pelvis to transverse abdominis. Good. Hands come together, palms touching at heart center. Mudra Anjali. So we exhale, release the arms down beside the legs, press the feet into the floor, float the arms up. Maybe the gaze follows, maybe it doesn't. Exhale, shift the weight a little bit more onto the heels to come forward. You can go into a flat back, you can go all the way down. Feel your toes receive some of that weight once you find your pose of resting. Breathe. When you're ready, the knees are going to bend a lot more generously. You're going to have the hands the width of your mat in front of your feet. And then you're going to step back. You choose one foot, nice big step, other foot. Come into downward dog. It's an inverted V. So you want to bend the knees a little bit more. Press the palms into the floor. Lengthen through the back. Gather the ribs in. And then you can walk out the legs by keeping one knee bent and then lengthening through one leg without changing the torso. You're just taking a little bit of release through the Achilles tendon, our longest tendon in the body, wrapping from the heel into the calf. And lengthening the legs, you get the more superficial calf muscle, the gastrocnemius. And then if you keep your knee bent and you reach your soleus muscle. And so is what we need. Okay, you can shift the hips off if the knees aren't coming into seated or you're down in child's pose with the hips sinking back to a place that feels comfortable for you. Okay, we haven't done a lot of lateral stretch, so we're going to spend a little bit of time here walking the arms to one side. If you're not wanting to do this in child's pose and you're seated, you can do a seated lateral release. You stay on one side for as long as you want, breathing through the side that you're receiving the stretch on. And then when your body says, oh, I'm ready to transition, you move through center, you go to the other side. Take some time once you arrive back into center just to pause. Maybe you have to support the head with a hand. Maybe you decide that you don't want to be in child's pose and you just want to sit up. Just going to feel our transition into the earth right now. And when you're ready, As you sit up, you're going to be in a kneeling. So for a lot of us, that's not the most comfortable position. If it is, you can stay there for a moment. If not, transition over to the side, swing your legs around, shake them out. And let's just take a moment to sit. And so wanting to sit in butterfly for a moment. So before we go into it, I want you to take the hands and sweep them up through the back of the leg and just feel the flesh of the buttocks. You're just lifting it back just so you can feel, okay, there's my sit bone. And then lean over onto the other side and do that again. So if you need more support, you can sit up on a bolster, you can sit up on a block. If sitting in butterfly pose is not working for you, then you're going to bring the soles of the feet together. Great. And we're just going to do a little bit of work here with feeling our feet. So your thumbs, you're just going to take them and just gently massage through that inner arch line, so that big toe line. So come from your big toes all the way down. So we're just going to use our fingers to start. And just notice along the way, what do you feel? Yeah. And then see, as you're massaging, you might even take the feet. So I'm holding my thumbs on the inner arch and my fingers on the top for those of you online so you can see. And you might even open up your feet a little bit more. Just do a little stretch. And just notice, what do you feel in your hips when you do that? And you can bring it back. Take a moment to press all the pads of the toes into each other, your big toe mound, your heels. So as if your feet are doing namaste with the hands. And then notice, okay, can I get my inner heels pressing together? Can I get my outer heels, do your big toe? Ah, good. It's quite stable. You can sit, don't have the pressing. Notice the connection from feet to pelvis. And then when you press the feet into each other, notice what is happening. Yes. And so sometimes this connection, if the big toe, inner big toe mound, the inner heel is not connecting, we sometimes have an awareness, and we're following this line today, that the inner part of pulling in this ligament to the sit bone is sometimes pulls out on one leg. And so one line you can think of drawing and pulling in, especially if you get any kind of cramping through the thigh or SI joint pain, sometimes that will be a little bit of a disconnect. And so I notice on this side, I tend to pull away. So I have to, when I think of this, I have to really push my inner heels and I have to pull in on one side. Peggy, is that resonating in any way for you? Yeah, think it over, okay? Yeah, I know, because this is the area of your question. Okay? Yeah. Okay, and then you're just going to release one leg. Doesn't matter to me which one it is. Okay, if this other leg is feeling like it needs a little bit of support, just take some support. Okay, and let's just release side body before we go into releasing the foot. So we did this last week where we reached through our heel of the bent leg and lengthened it. And then we could feel, oh, can I reach through my toe a little bit? And then we're going to inhale, exhale, turn up. So you're turning up your torso to face the ceiling, and then you're leaning the side of the body down onto that straight leg. Remember, your heel is on the floor of your straight leg and the toes are pointing upright. There you go. Excellent. And you can allow your right hand to come onto the leg that is bent in a half butterfly. You can even bring that arm up. Sometimes you might just want to hang it behind the head or put your hand behind your skull, lean the hand and the head into each other. Feel, yeah, there you go. Feel lateral release here. Breathe. And then just turn your torso down See if you can square the pelvis. You might even need to, what I need to do is just pull this leg back and this hip back a little bit so that it feels a little bit more comfortable for me. So you might have a similar, and then you're just going to be over the leg. So we haven't transitioned over, but I want you to press the pads of the fingers into the floor. So instead of having a flat palm, I want you to be tented. Yeah, there you go. So tented fingers on the floor. And then you're going to press them in and see and feel your torso lengthen. If you need, you can bend this knee a tiny bit. And mom, you might find putting your slow-mo ball behind the back of your knee on this one. Yeah, a really helpful awareness. As you bend the knee a little bit, it brings a little bit more movement here, right? When you have a straight leg, it's harder to fold at the pelvis, but when you bend it a little bit, see how your mobility increases? So one of the cues, if you do grab your slow-mo ball, make sure your little squash ball too is beside you as well. And you can have a little bit of support, and I'll just pull my pant leg up so that you're underneath. And then you can have the hands pressing a little bit into the floor, and then this lengthening that is coming down. And then at the very end, you can let the body go if you are rounding the spine, but keeping nice and tall here and length through the spine is really helpful because you're strengthening the back muscles at the same time. Yeah, where are you feeling it? Yes.
Last week I couldn't drive for 3 days.
What?
Because my hip flexors were like.
Okay, so they're really, really tight. So don't go down so far. And that tells me we need to do some psoas release at the end of class today. Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm wondering that sense of, is your pelvis coming with you? Because I see your torso moving. You want your pelvis to move with you. Yeah, so it's not the torso coming down, it's the pelvis coming forward. There it is. Take your block and pull it closer in to support your thigh more. Does that help? Okay. Yeah. So if you're feeling a pull and it's really screaming to you, then that means you need to take that block and support closer to the area that is talking to you. So instead of knee, which is creating more of a release, you want to tug it in nice and close. Right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of compression on that side. So what you can do is just lift up on the, okay, on this side. Yeah. Okay, we got a couple things going on. So I'll address this one first. So because you're so tight here, this is what's talking to you first, right? And so you might not feel a lot. Yeah, you are still going to feel a release because we are releasing the side of the hip, this leg, so your right leg. So you're still feeling that, but you're also releasing the hamstring, and you're feeling it where Angela's feeling it, is on this side. Yeah. And so a little compression happening on the very bottom of the psoas. So maybe it's not going down so deep, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's release it. There's a lot going on today, right? Yeah. Yeah, moving. So you're moving your torso a lot rather than moving the pelvis. So it's remember the power of the pelvis. When we go forward, sometimes we go to reach something and we leave the pelvis. Yeah, and we start to pull here, right? So instead of moving the pelvis forward, which is going, the torso is going to follow it. Yeah. Yes, I know, right? I was just actually looking at the recording of that the other day. Okay, switch. Yeah. Yeah, we have to do the other side. So lengthen through the heel, root down through the opposite heel. Take a moment before you're going to the end. Sometimes our mind is like, okay, where am I going? But first you need to set yourself up. So take a moment to arrive. Okay, then you're going to turn the torso to the leg that is bent. And then you're going to slide down. So your side of your body is sliding down over the lengthened leg. So just releasing that. And when you go into this side, do you feel it, that compression as well, Angela? Or is it only when you turn, it's just on the one side? Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? Yes. Okay, so you're on the same leg. So everyone's on different legs. You're on the same leg to me. So you're going to turn to the left. Yeah. And then you're going to slide your right hand down your right leg and lean the right side of your body down. Yeah. Yeah. The pelvis is the one that's leaning. Mm-hmm. I've got my right leg. Yeah. You've got a stitch in your rib, right? Mm-hmm. So lengthen. And maybe you're not coming down so far. There. I would say no more than that. That's it. That's it. Yep. Yeah, less is more sometimes, right? So whatever your straight leg is. So I have my right leg, so my right side of my body is coming down. Okay, if you have your left leg, your left side of your body is coming down. Yeah, one side, right? Isn't it amazing how we have one side? I know. Okay. So we're just taking a little bit of time to release side body, and then we're going to do some massaging. So if you want, you pivot your torso towards your straight leg. Lengthen up. So it is really helpful when you press your pads of your fingers and your thumb into the floor. Do you notice how it supports your torso in lengthening? And then if you are coming forward, it's the pelvis coming forward. So your belly should be coming towards your thighs, what you're trying to get. Yeah, there you go. Nice adjustment, Peggy, with your foot. Yeah, hear that? And you can support this knee. I've got my knee supported with my Slow-mo ball, but you don't have to. So in forward folds, and I'll demonstrate this from double forward fold. In forward folds, a lot of the time you would see, okay, this is leaving the pelvis behind. Yeah. So this would be like doing a forward fold. So I'm just doing it a straight leg, which we call Patimottanasana, right? We're doing one leg, which is easier. But instead of that, it should be I'm still long, right? I'm still long. Then if I want to bend the knees, I can go down a little bit farther, right? But it's the pelvis. If not, you're moving from your lower back a lot of the time. And hunching, yeah, and you're creating a lot of strain in your lower back, middle back, and upper back. Yeah. It's okay. I see the movement happening for you now. And that's what's important. So come out, shake it out, right? That's what's important is that you're starting to think, okay, when I'm going to go forward, my pelvis is the one that's going to take me there so that I can, exactly. Yes, which is great, right? So it's moving from the pelvis and the torso follows instead of moving from the lower back. It is. It does, right? Yeah. Okay, so you're going to shake it out and I want to massage through the foot. Okay, so you can sit however you want, but I want you to take the squash ball or your hands, whatever you want. And I'm going to come and I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer for this one. And I'm going to pop it down so you guys can see what's happening. And so you can take the foot and massage through in between the knuckles of the toes. So you can use the squash ball if you want. You can use your hands. And then check in if when you turn the foot over, if anything needs to release through that big toe line. So I'm massaging through the big toe line. So once again, you can do hands or you can bring in the squash ball. So remember, you're soft here. Good. And then I want you to travel up the leg. So if you were to draw a line and you were to follow the toe, you come up and it goes behind the malleolus, and the malleolus is your ankle bone. And so you're going to travel behind the ankle bone, and then you're going to go up into the leg. And so you might find some spots in the shin. Okay, that maybe is feeling a little bit tighter. Yeah, so I just followed it up, Peggy, up through behind the malleolus. And then you can go up through the leg. So that can be along here. And then for you, you're going to follow it up and you're going to follow it into here. And so you might find, like I find on my spot when I get that, it's right here. I've got a huge bunch of fascia. That is where the gripping is happening and the adhesion is happening. Okay, so just want you to take a little bit of time, just do one leg. Okay, so you can go up through the calf. You're more than welcome to go up into the inner thigh if you want. And remember, you're going soft and then you're slowly, okay, allowing the body to offer to you when you want to go deeper. Okay, so because all of these muscles in the leg, they run vertically up the body. So what we're doing is we're combing the fascia and the muscles. You can also, so that's when you feel a shortening. So when you feel a bunching or adhesion and you kind of get into a spot and you're like, oh my God, there's like a lump there. So a combing, which is this way along, you're going with the muscle because these are running vertical. When you have a lot of tightness, and sometimes there's a tightness, but it's a tightness long. Okay? And we get that a lot in our back body where this would be like a tight long position. Right? Then you would do what is called a cross fibering. You go cross it. And then you can also find a spot, maybe where it's holding, but make sure that you can breathe through it and you can do what is called a little compression. So you can just press and hold. So sometimes when you find the epicenter and the epicenter is like, oh, that is just too much. I can't breathe. I can't relax my face. I'm making faces while I'm doing it. Then you need to move below, above, to the left or the right. And so don't think that you need to go right into the spot. Yeah. Is it helping your foot? Good. Yeah. It goes all the way up. Yeah. And so when you follow the line of connection, right? Because it's a myofascial connection to connect from the feet through the legs into the pelvis. There's multiple muscles that you're having to get along the way to communicate with each other so that you can feel supported. And when there's a gripping or an adhesion or something happening along the line, then the body can't communicate properly to create that chain of support that you need. Then you start compensating in other areas, right? You overuse other muscles or you do something different. Right? In time, I'm going to give a few more minutes, but once you're ready to try, so this is the foot exercise. I'm going to try to get this on camera. Okay, so you want to press down through the toes. This is not coming. There we go. That's better. And you want to just try to lift the big toe on the foot that you were rolling. Big toe. And sometimes you need to like lift it up and go, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. Right? And it is, it's like you got to tell your brain has to talk to the toe and the toe has to say lift, lift, lift. And you have to maybe do it over and over. And I find sometimes, you know, if you can't do it without all the toes, holding the toes down, and then you can say, okay, lift. Oh, there it is. Okay, lift, lift. And so your toes doing little push-ups. Good. And so what we're doing is we're connecting through the flexor hallucis longus tendon. Yeah, there it is. Good. Yeah, a little bit of pressure on it too, right? Yeah. Yeah, so that's your tendon, right? Yeah. 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 Yeah, you do. You have to, sometimes you have to hold them down. And then you can sense, okay, now notice along the line. So I can start to feel, okay, I'm getting a little bit of gripping in my inner arch. You got it, Mom? Yeah. And for me, it's like right here. And so I think, okay, right there, I've got a little bit of more work I need to do to fascially release to help that line become clear. Yeah, Bethany, is that all clear for you? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it's a start. It's okay though, but the fact that you can get it to move, because that's the first step. Sometimes you just look at it and you're like, move, and it's like, no. You're like, come on, lift, and it doesn't do it, right? And so once you start to get movement, that's a good sign, right? Because you're in another phase. You're in a new phase. It does help to touch it, right? I agree. So you're gonna switch feet now. Okay. How you doing over there, Seamus? Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And now you can see how that leg, right? See if you can root that big toe. Yeah. And maybe use that hand to hold the toes. Yeah. And then the left hand if you need to. There it is. That's working that toe. There it is. Yes. It's waving. Right. Yeah. This is deep work, right? This is deep work. And so you don't realize, what I do in my feet is going to have an effect on. I just want to make sure that we're leaving a little time for some psoas release at the end. Good. It's amazing. Sometimes, we're always rolling the bottom of the foot, but sometimes we forget to release the top of the foot and we get really, really tight on the top of the foot. And you don't notice, but sometimes when your top of your foot is really tight, or you might know someone and the toes start to curl and they're called little hammer toes. Yeah. And so that's when you've got really tight top foot fascia. Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, you want to be aware of that, because especially like you said, when you've broken things, I broke this big toe when I was young too. Yeah, I did something really silly, but um yeah, I think that one time when I was trying to go in those automatic doors and I went in the out and it hit my toe, and it yeah, it like totally messed me up. I learned from that one. I never did that again. And then the other thing I was playing, I was a bat catcher in baseball, and we were colliding at home base, and they ran over my toes with cleats on, and I broke my big toe. Yeah, that would hurt. Yeah, so hurt, right? And so that's sometimes when we've had an injury in the feet or the toe, we notice, okay, I can't move it very well. And so you want to make sure, which we're noticing some of us, that you can kind of do what we call a supination. So we were talking about supinating the foot and then moving the toe, but you want to make sure that that big toe mound is staying connected on the ground when you're doing this exercise. I like that, just touching the toe. Down, up. There we go. Oh my God. I think that's the best it's ever been for a couple weeks now. Ah, but yeah, it takes a bit to get the feet to function the way you want them to again. Yeah. You can get it, right? It is. It's the mind communicating with the toe. And there's something that's not clear along the line. And so that's why we're doing a little bit of fascia, right? a little bit of, yeah, a little bit in the mind, but also something in the fascia that gets really connected, right? And it's bunching and it's inhibiting that movement coming in. I know. And so one foot can learn from the other foot, right? Okay, so we should lie down because I do want to do a little bit of a psoas release. So come down to the floor. We did a lot of great work today. Ah, so come to the floor. take a moment, enjoy being lying down. You might draw the legs into the chest, you might roll around. Okay. You can do a little circle with the legs where you can circle the legs by holding the thighs in one direction, whereas they move together. You can also separate them, whereas you draw the legs towards you, separate the legs and circle them out and around. So we did this one last week. And as you go one direction, you can then go the other direction. So when you're ready, you can circle the other way with the legs together, or if you're separating them, the legs separate, circle out and around, they come back towards the torso. Then when they meet and they're together, then they move away and then they separate, circle out and around, back towards the torso. So we're just releasing in the hip flexor, and we're going to do a little psoas release. Okay, for the psoas release, you can be, if you want, on a slow-mo ball, okay, under the pelvis, that's the purple ball, or you can put a chip foam block or a folded blanket under the pelvis, whatever you want. So some of you might take the slow-mo ball. If you want one that has less air, you can let me know. Yeah, there we go. If you have the block or the slow-mo ball, you're going to put it underneath and you're just going to pause for a moment. If you have the slow-mo ball, you're going to roll around. Just massage the back of the pelvis. Feel the breath. Just let yourself settle. And then when you're ready, whatever side you're feeling the most congestion on when you were seated, I want you to extend that leg first. So for me, that's my left. So you're going to extend the leg down. So the heel's on the floor and the toes come off. And then you're just going to point the toes away from you. So as you point the toes away from you, then you're going to feel that release as you're tugging through. The toes pointing, connect up through the front of the shin, through the knee, through the thigh, into the hip flexor. And then you're going to roll the leg out and you're going to roll the leg in. Keep reaching through the toes as you roll the leg out and in. Then you might find a spot along the way. For me, it's a little bit more of an internal rotation and then a reaching through the toes that feels good. Once you find the spot that the leg wants to just rest in for a moment, you can also reach the arms up. So you can have one arm, so same arm of the leg that you've extended. You can do both. You can have a pillow behind your head. I'll demonstrate it with a bolster. So if the arms don't want to go up too high, relax the rib cage into the floor. It takes a little bit sometimes for the psoas to fully release. Last week, which I'm going to fold into next week, we did some psoas strengthening. So sometimes that is also the case, which might have contributed also, Megan, to you feeling, right, the work that we did of the strengthening of the psoas. And so strengthening psoas, right, is being able to lift the foot off the floor and the whole leg. And that is strengthening. It's using your hip flexor. Okay, so when you're ready, you're going to take that time to stay there for as long as you want. Slowly slide it back. Pause. And then you're going to extend the other leg. The toes will come off the floor at some point. The heel will stay there. You're going to reach through the toes. You're going to roll it in and roll the whole leg out. So you're going to feel the whole leg, internal, external rotation. And keep the toes softly reaching through them, because that's what's going to help to tug on the chain of muscles and fascia all the way up to the hip flexor. And once you find a spot that you just want to pause, maybe it's internal, maybe it's a little bit more external, you choose. Yeah, good. If you're not feeling a release, the more height you have under your pelvis for some of us helps to offer that release. So some of us, when we have a semi-inflated slow-mo ball, some of us, we have a more inflated slow-mo ball. And if you have a thinner block to a thicker block to a bolster, can also shift the amount of release that you feel through that leg. And so you take your time to be there for as long as you want, and you'll know when you're ready to come out. And then you pause. And we're just going to rest. So if there's something else that's coming in, it's just going to be a short rest today because we are at 10:15. We're just going to take a couple minutes here. Take a few breaths out the mouth. It's really good to start the same way we ended. End the same way we started. And just take a moment to settle. Feel your body being held by the earth. Each time you receive that exhalation, you allow the body to become heavier. Soft eyes, maybe the eyelids are closed. Soft lips, teeth, inside of the mouth. Release the shoulders, the upper arm, the elbow, the lower arm, the hands, and also your fingers. As we were doing all of our ball rolling today, even though we were focusing on the feet, you were also releasing the hands. Feel the shoulder blades drop back, the ribs, all the way down to the lower ribs, your lower back. Let the lower back widen, spread. Feel that flow into your hips, a widening through the joining of the ilium and the sacrum. And that ease flowing down the right leg through the thigh, the knee, the shin, the ankle, the foot, out the toes and the heel, and down the left leg to the thigh, the knee, the shin, the ankle, the left foot, and the toes. And as you pause here, feel your whole body. Feel your whole body. And as you're resting here, the piece that came to be shared today, I don't have the author. It's about growth. When was the last time you paused for a second and gave yourself the credit you deserve for how far you've come, how much you've grown, the person you've become, and the transformation you've experienced, and the touch lessons you've learned? When was the last time you paused for a second and gave yourself the credit you deserve for how far you've come, how much you've grown, the person you've become, the transformation you experience, and the touch of the lessons that you've learned? Ah, feel your breath. Let it flow out. Maybe it's out the nose consciously, maybe it's out the mouth. And just notice the connections that you've made through the body today. Some tools that you've gathered. The stability that was created from your feet through your lower leg, your knees, to your upper leg, to your hips. And how the upper body and shoulders can rest upon that support as it weaves internally through the center of your body, all the way up through your neck to the mouth and out the top of your head. You're going to very gently wiggle the fingers. Feel that flow of awareness up through your arms to your torso. And wiggle the toes, all the work we did on the feet today, all the way up through the legs into the pelvis. And then let any movements come in, maybe a stretch, a yawn, a movement that resonates with you. And you're going to roll over, no rush, to one side. And when you're ready, take a pause on the side body and just come and sit for a moment. So I'm sitting on a little pad. I've got a little foam block underneath me. You can be flat on the floor. You can also have the legs extended, but the palms are going to face forward. You're going to take a deep breath, let it out the mouth. Press down through the pelvis, let the arms float up. And remember, when you get to the height of the shoulders, you can turn the palms down and bring the arms forward. So you draw the top of a triangle as the palms touch. Let the arms come down through center line, receiving. So the next time you inhale, reach up, gather energy up. And then as you exhale, allow yourself to receive it. Just bringing in the fullness of our practice one more time. Pausing the hands at heart center. Allowing the mind and the heart to create a union together. Feel any holding maybe in the shoulders and the neck, just let go. Take a few more conscious breaths. Feel the wholeness of your body integrated together. As the eyes slowly open, with the head bowed, lifted up, feel the gaze go straight ahead. I thank you always for your time, your energy, your questions, and your presence. Thank you for being here today and online. So we each have little claws, which are really great. If you wouldn't mind, the little spray bottles, if you take your little